Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
8:06. It's our fourth hour here. If you missed anything up until now, well, you've missed Grover Norquist about the tax cuts, Joe DeGeneva about all things Supreme Court and lawfare, and then Byron York just now about Doge and Elon Musk. Coming up in 30 minutes, you'll hear from the CEO of the Alliance for Secure AI, as there are, well, grave concerns about how AI will change our lives in the next several years, including its impacts on national security. That's all coming up. Subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss any of that stuff. It's Larry O'Connor with Julie Gunlock. Happy Monday, Julie.
Good morning.
And a quick thank you, by the way, to Hans von Spakovsky for sitting in on Friday as I was celebrating our youngest child's graduation from high school. It's totally done now with those school obligations in my life as a parent. Everything else now is gravy. Joining us right now is Ron Halber. He, of course, is the CEO of the Jewish Community Relations Council of Greater Washington. And Ron, I'm sorry the circumstances under which we have to speak, but we need your perspective on this. We, of course, had the murder of the two staff members here in Washington, D.C. of the Israeli embassy, that the murderer was screaming Free Palestine when he was apprehended. We now have a person screaming Free Palestine and death to Zionists in Boulder, Colorado, as he employs a makeshift blowtorch, a flamethrower, and Molotov cocktails. We also had an arrest in Dearborn, Michigan, of a man trying to obtain a gun so he could mow down preschoolers. Again, this is what they mean by globalize the intifada. I mean, this is despicable that we're seeing this in our country, sir.
Yes, globalize the intifada just means kill Jews wherever you can. It's an open season It's an open season for killing Jews. It's you can try to use words like globalize an intifada to make it sound more sophisticated, but all it is kill Jews wherever they are, because we're frustrated about what's going on in the Middle East.
Do you feel like the Jewish community in America and those who support the state of Israel in America have been let down by sort of the both sidesism that we've seen here, even after the murder of the Israeli embassy staff members last week? You had prominent people in the media sort of equivocating the murders with policies in Israel, as if the one excuses the other.
Look, there are plenty of legit avenues in a democracy to show your expression for supporting or detracting from a policy, whatever it may be, domestic or international. Once you start picking up arms and start attacking one side, that views that the United States is heading in a downward cycle.
You know, Ron, how do you explain, though, I think we've seen some shifting, but the Jewish community does still vote Democrat. And I have a really hard time understanding that. Is this a matter of outreach? Is it a matter of just historically they've aligned with Democrats? But how in the world is the Jewish community at large still supporting the Democrat Party, which stands with Hamas?
Well, I think it would be an overstatement to say that the Democratic Party stands with Hamas. I would
fine.
Say that,
yeah.
But if you're asking me about historical trends, is that American Jews are one group that we say faces cross pressures, their interests and their values. So it's been very interesting. Bill Schneider has documented this a lot. So the Jewish community, as mostly as an upwardly mobile Jewish community, you would think most of us would be voting Republican, but yet why do most of us vote Democrat? And the answer is because we still, as a result of our historical experience, believe that a country that is very open to allowing a liberal expression, allowing people the greatest amount of sort of least discrimination and the greatest amount of freedoms is the party where Jews feel most comfortable. They feel aligned with the victim. In other words, no matter how much they succeed in American society, and America has been the golden Medina for the Jewish community, make no doubt, they still feel that historical baggage of discrimination, and that's why they are cemented in the party. Although there have been trends that some men are trending more towards the Republican Party, not necessarily Trump, but towards Republicans.
just really quickly, though, just to follow up on that, I mean, the Democrat Party hasn't really been the party of free speech or, looking out for the little guy for a long time. I mean, that's sort of, I mean, you said it. You said that was historically the position of the left. And again, I ask, is this just, are they unaware of what the Democrat Party is advocating these days? I mean, again, I hardly think that they're the party of free speech and free expression.
Well, I mean, you also have to remember that for most American Jews, Israel is not the only thing they're considering in their equation. I've always said there's sort of like a baseline. Will you provide Israel with that? Most American Jewish voters, I think, there's sort of a baseline support they want for Israel. Will you support Israel at the United Nations and the U.S. efforts to veto Security Council resolutions? Will you provide Israel the weaponry that she needs? And I think once most American Jews feel that common denominator has been made, they feel free to vote on other issues. I mean, for example, had Bernie Sanders become the Democratic nominee, I don't know if he would have seen the same amount of Jews turning out for Bernie because he's so hostile to Israel, or an AOC type or something like that. But I think when most people sort of check the balance, they go like, okay, Israel is certainly the most important foreign policy issue to the Jewish community, but it ranked only 13 before other issues, because most people assume America is going to stand by Israel, and therefore that doesn't have to be a major factor in their voting. That could change in the future.
After yesterday, you now see that we reached a point where if you go out and exercise your First Amendment rights to merely support the release of hostages, which isn't even a Zionist statement. It's just there are innocent people being held by terrorists, by Hamas, since October 7th, 2023. They should be released, and then you face incineration from a illegal alien from Egypt who was here throwing Molotov cocktails. And given that, I've got to ask you, I mean, within the Jewish community, there's got to be a sobering, if not outright terrified mood about merely walking the streets openly as a Jew in America at this point. I mean, are they arming themselves? Are they looking into the Second Amendment? I mean, what is a Jew to do right now in America?
Well, anecdotally, I can tell you in my community, I know many, many Jews, including a friend of mine who recently said the majority of people who attended, the 16-hour course in Maryland, for example, where you can, then carry a concealed weapon, were Jewish. So there's no doubt in my mind that I just know this for a fact, more Jews are arming themselves than ever before. That I know, because I've just spoke to people personally, and I've said, and I've heard it through sources.
And when you hear the police chief step up after, we've all seen the video, he's screaming, end Zionists and free Palestine. And the police chief in Boulder says, we're not jumping to any conclusions on the motive. I mean, you've got to feel how insulting is that?
Well, that was just a moronic statement. I don't even know how to I can't even I don't even know how to answer it other than say that was just plain dumb. I mean, what do you think it is? I mean, when people say Zionist,
sir, it is dumb, but at the same time, we've got sadly decades, if not centuries, of people denying that anti-Semitism even exists, despite the evidence right before our eyes. People still deny the Holocaust.
Yes, well, there's a Holocaust denial, and it's amazing that, Holocaust education in America is just not what it used to be. The results came out about 6 months to a year ago about how few Americans are truly educated about the Holocaust, and they don't understand where it leads. We're not the Jewish community doesn't want the Holocaust to be studied by everybody because we feel that we're entitled to some type of special treatment. We want it to be shown as an example of what happens when hatred runs amok. And this is what happens when you have all these crazy people out there screaming, stop the genocide where there is no genocide, stop the ethnic cleansing where there is no ethnic cleansing, globalize the Intifada where it means kill Jews. Then you get these crazy people become self-radicalized, and they go out and they start committing acts of violence. And this is all predictable. And last week when I spoke to you guys, and I said this is not going to be the last incident, and it isn't. And I'm telling you again, this is not going to be the last incident again. I'm telling you.
And it's exacerbated, though, by when people in authority, who are government officials wearing a badge, who's supposed to be in charge of public safety and law enforcement, deny the obvious hatred and evil that we see before our very eyes.
100%. But I can tell you, in the Washington area, immediately, I was the police chiefs in D.C. and in the surrounding suburbs immediately went ahead within 20 minutes of the attack, told me that patrols had already been increased around Jewish institutions. I just don't know if that kind of knowledge is evenly understood throughout America. I mean, I think the Boulder police chief may have been trying to be conservative and not trying to jump to any conclusions before the FBI pronounced it a hate crime, or pronounced it a terrorist incident. But that was a pretty dumb statement.
Yeah, that it's always good to talk with you, Ron Halber. Again, sadly, it's oftentimes after incidents like this. But please, all the members of your organization know that we are brothers and sisters with you, and we stand shoulder to shoulder with
we appreciate
you
your
and
brotherhood
everyone in the Jewish community.
We appreciate your brotherhood and sisterhood at these times. Thank you, sir. Thank you, man.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
No, normally, Julie, this song would signal that we're doing some sort of update on President Trump in his second term, maybe a rally he just had, the MAGA movement. But no, it's June, and that means this song must now take its rightful position as being an anthem for all things gay. Because
nice jazz hands.
It is. Thank you. I'm particularly proud of that. It is, as the corporate and advocate activist crowd would like to describe it, Pride Month, where we must be proud of how we decide to have sex and with whom and in what style. Mayor Muriel Bowser, speaking on behalf of the entire District of Columbia and the nation's capital, said, and I'm quoting her now, "It's a great day in the gayest city in the world." We are the gayest now here in Washington.
Honestly, she is the only person who can make me miss BLM. I just please go back to to painting roads and virtue signaling about things.
The gay pride mural is going to have a lot more style and flair. Let's face it. Better use of color.
The gayest city in the world. Who writes that?
The Washington Post reporting that Shakira, who,
is not gay.
Never mind. I was going to say something so offensive.
Larry?
Even I stopped myself. That tells you. See, I do have.
That was bad.
You know it's bad when
you can tell me after the show. You can tell me after the show.
It just has to do with Shakira's power to turn any gay man to, at the very least, to rethink their life choices. Shakira's tour production could not be transported to Washington in time for her performance scheduled this Saturday at Nationals Park for the World Pride concert. So
you gotta love stars today. Her whole package couldn't be transferred. Just take a flight and sing.
Well, so there is some suggestion that maybe that's just an excuse, and Shakira didn't want to shake her booty for men who wouldn't fully appreciate it. Here is Mayor Bowser commenting on it.
I'm going to do this for all of us. Shakira, girl, get yourself here. You got the rest of the week. Get yourself here. We love you. We want to see you. We want to rock with you, party with you. But we're going to do it anyway.
Well, maybe Mayor Bowser would appreciate the booty shaking. It sounds like, but
seems a little too excited.
Also, but have you noticed that she does the Kamala Harris thing where she sounds like she's very on the other side of the Anacostia when she wants to sound it, but otherwise she's very Chevy Chase most of the time. All right, Mayor Bowser, we see you.
Bowser actually, I don't know, stop people killing people in this district rather than worrying about Shakira's flight plans.
Sorry, we're way too busy this month to stop murders and crime because we're the gayest city in the world.
Gay!
Welcome to Washington. It's 8:22.
You're going to want to stay tuned for our next hour interview. We're going to interview Brendan Steinhauser. He is the CEO of the Alliance for Secure AI. AI is a topic a lot of you are interested in, particularly parents.
Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
8:37 this busy Monday morning. Thanks for tuning into O'Connor and Company. It's Larry O'Connor with Julie Gunlock. And Julie, are you do you utilize the AI for anything other than silly memes involving Michelle Obama?
I feel like I'm the last person on earth that doesn't use AI. No, I don't use it. I know a lot of people
Not
do.
for anything? No.
I've asked Grok a couple questions.
See, there you go. All right, well, that's something. That's something.
Yeah.
Between Grok and OpenAI and ChatGPT, there's a lot of things that can be made more efficient, a lot of tasks that can be streamlined, but there's also a lot of dangers and concerns about the future of AI here in America and how it relates to national security. That brings us Brendan Steinhauser, CEO of the Alliance for Secure AI. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So what are we, you tell me, frame this properly. Obviously, AI is incredibly powerful, incredibly useful. People tell me that it's going to just make our world and our lives so much better. But what are the dangers? The dangers seem quite palpable.
Yeah, it is kind of a double-edged sword, if you will. It's a tool like any other, a very powerful tool. And currently most people are familiar with chatbots that often get things wrong or hallucinate or do those sorts of things. But even among the chatbots that we're seeing now, we've seen examples and studies that show that there have been elements of AIs lying, manipulating, deceiving the users, really just pursuing their goals of reward maximizing. And so there are some concerns there just with these kind of current models. But I think most people are concerned about the next generation of AI and this rapid expansion and development into what is known as artificial general intelligence, AGI, which is coming very soon. Everyone in industry kind of has a consensus now at this point that this is coming fast. Whether you want that to happen or not, it seems like this is going to happen very fast, where an AI will be as smart as any human. It'll have basically a PhD level intelligence in pretty much every subject matter. And it will be pursuing the goals that humans give it if we can control it and if we can make sure that it is aligned with us. And I think that's the big problem there. We can get into some of the details on that, but I think AI alignment is the big issue here.
I lied, Brendan. I said I don't use AI. I actually asked Grok to write a question to ask you. No, I didn't. I'm only kidding. But I'm curious about, what you just said there. We can sort of make these AI platforms or whatever, pursue what the interests of humans. But what if China wants to destroy the United States? We don't all believe the same things. And
what if that's their interest?
Right.
Yeah. I just don't understand how we can ever control for that. I think that in the U.S. there are people like you and me and other people that want these safeguards and regulations, but I don't think we can trust the Chinese. Look what they've done with TikTok. Look what they did with COVID. The evidence is there that these are not fair partners.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Julie, and that is a big concern. The Chinese Communist Party is rapidly developing their own AI capabilities. They're advancing in robotics. Some would say faster than we are. So think about embodied robots that are Chinese robots powered by AGI. That's a very scary proposition. And then also they are actively in our frontier labs in the Bay Area stealing the systems and products that we're producing. And so the American private sector is investing tens of billions of dollars into these products, into developing advanced artificial intelligence. And the Chinese spies are there right now, penetrating those labs, stealing things, waiting for us to develop the next generation. And they will steal it and they will use it. And it is likely they will not only weaponize it against us in all sorts of different ways through cyber attacks and undermining our critical infrastructure so that they weaken us when they move on Taiwan, but also building a enhanced police state that takes what they're doing right now and makes it look like child's play. So, and then exporting that to potentially lots of countries around the world. And so there are a lot of concerns with the power of advanced AI. And I think we're moving very, very fast. I think within a couple of years, you're going to see just incredible advancements in this field. And so it is something that we have to kind of think very carefully about. We have to be very thoughtful about, or we could really end up in a bad place, not only as Americans who are just trying to live our daily lives, but for the entire world.
We're speaking with Brendan Steinhauser, and you just laid out, cyber attacks and psyops, where you can create like tens of thousands of bots on social media to push a fake story, but make it seem like it's real. And the accounts forget about there being, they look like they're real, but they're not. These people, even videos can be created. And the human beings that you see there are not actually human beings, and it can actually sort of screw with a nation's and a culture's psychology, and it can be, utilized by hostile intelligence agencies. People listening to us right now, sir, they're crafting and funding programs that can protect this country. What is it that the Alliance for Secure AI is looking for? What is your organization doing, and what are you hoping legislators and people in the national security realm are focused on?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I would say that we are first and foremost trying to educate policymakers in the administration and in Congress about some of the rapid advancements in AI to really persuade them that, hey, this is something that needs to be a top issue, if not the top issue over the next couple of years because of those rapid advancements. So I think education is a big part of it. And then also providing resources for the public.
Is there a concern, though? And just throw it out there, because we do need security with regard to artificial intelligence and certain regulations, but we also want to make sure that we can innovate. I mean, everyone around the world is harnessing this, and America needs to lead. So how can we balance that?
Absolutely. Well, I think President Trump and his team have been very explicit on this and very strong that we need to maintain U.S. dominance in AI, and we need to be out there leading and innovating. I think that's absolutely right. And we would say that innovation and dominance go hand in hand with safety and security. If we don't protect what we're producing, if we don't develop it in safe ways, it's not going to be good for us. It's not going to be good for anyone. We have to make sure that we maintain control over those systems, that we can have it work for us, not the other way around. Or again, that other countries, especially China and Russia, and to some degree other countries like Iran, obtain what we have created and then weaponize it against us. And so, yeah, we think the president is correct on that. We're looking forward to seeing his AI action plan. Certainly some of our friends and allies and colleagues have submitted comments for that. And I would say, too, again, one of the most important things here is physical and information security at the labs. That is one key element here that we're just not doing a good job of in this country. And I would like to think that the frontier labs like OpenAI and Anthropic and Google DeepMind would do that themselves for their own interests and for national security. But I get a lot of feedback from people who are experts in this, who are people who used to work at those labs, and they say it's pretty wide open. And so that's a big danger to America.
Yeah, let's not have something happen and then look back and say, oh, if only we knew. No, we know. We just aren't doing it. Brendan Steinhauser, Alliance for Secure AI. Where can people go to get more information to educate themselves on this?
Our website is secureainow.org, secureainow.org, and you can also find us across all social media platforms. We're actually launching with a big public event tomorrow in Washington, D.C., and encourage everyone to watch that event on our YouTube channel and follow us on social media.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Brendan. Appreciate it.
Making sense of your world.
Greatly appreciated.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
I love listening to you.
Making sense of the news.
Here comes Chris Plant now as he practices his Cory Booker salute. Chris, good to see you. Don't throw
How
your arm
about that,
out there.
Cory Booker? They should really be wearing armbands at this point. It wouldn't be quite so bad if they weren't attacking Jews everywhere they find them and firebombing them and Molotov cocktailing the governor's house because he's Jewish, and the Democrat Party. Really, we need to put them on the no-fly list just for openers. That's pretty amazing.
It's almost like a pattern of behavior. And then Rashida Tlaib is asked, will you condemn Hamas? And she's like, no, how could I possibly do such a thing?
Why would Rashida Tlaib condemn Hamas? Were it not for the United States, black scorpions would be crawling over her sun-bleached bones in the in the desert sands of Beep Hole. Beep Hole. Yeah, I think I see a pattern emerging here from the Democrat Party. It's not a very good one.